Hi, this is Betsy and Warren with Married with Luggage, and we're happy to be here today to talk about career breaks.
Yeah, talking to you about how it changed and strengthened our relationship. We have been traveling since 2010 and loving every minute of it. We spend 24/7 living, working, and traveling together. I know. So how has it strengthened our relationship?
Well, I think when you embark on something like this together and you're working hard towards the goal, you have this future vision of what you want your life to be. I think it brings you closer together. And then when you are traveling and you run into these scenarios, bribing border guards or navigating long bus rides or getting your backpack stolen, those have a way of bringing you together. You're fighting, it's you against the world.
Yeah, we constantly focus on making ourselves a team and focusing on what can we do together. It's almost like we're out there, there's no one else to support us, and so we have to be there for each other, and we can't be fighting constantly. So we worked through a lot of the issues that we had in our relationship through the course of this last 4 years.
I agree. Now, that being said, going on a trip together is a pretty wonderful thing, and it's not like it's everyday tragedy and things that you have to work through, but yeah, there are definitely moments.
Right, but let's go back to our planning. So when we started planning, I think I probably took a little more of the lead, just because I am anal.
Control freak! Yes.
I was having a great time. I love to plan.
You love to plan, and I was getting a little bit worried about all the planning because you really went gung-ho. I mean, you had us mapped out for over a year of everything we were going to do, and I'm more of a free spirit, and I kind of wanted to just let things unfold, and you really have to sort of be in the happy medium, I think, because you can't plan too much, because then you miss out on all the fabulous stuff that you can do.
I think it's better.
You can't not plan anything, because then nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, so we went back and forth, and I think that what we found by the time that we had left on the trip, that we worked really closely together. We talked about ideas, we made lists of things that we would love to see, but it was much more a style thing. I think that it became I would like to hike more, or we want to spend more time in summer places, which means that we would be bouncing between the hemispheres. I think that was what it became at the very end when we took off on the trip. It was great.
I think I became more of the imaginative one that said, what if we blah, and you were the one who said, done.
I think that's exactly right, and we've evolved that now, and now our decision-making process is very similar to this. If there's one of us that really wants to do something, then we do that.
There's also the rule, if there's one of us that really doesn't want to do something, we don't do it.
But, I really wanted to go hiking in Scotland. So we went and did an 8-day hike in Scotland, and then a 30-day hike with Sherry Ott, by the way, in Turkey. And it was fantastic. But it was something that I truly wanted to do. And the way that we made the decision is we just talked about...
No, you forced me into it. You totally forced me into it.
We talk a lot about why we want to do something. Not necessarily, let's go here. It becomes why do you want to do that? What's important to you? And I feel like we're strengthening our relationship as we go in the process just by doing that.
I agree with that. But in terms of decision making, in the very beginning, we had a lot of trouble with this because you were making all the decisions and I was letting you. It was like I was on permanent vacation and you took on a job as a tour guide.
Yeah.
And, we both kind of sunk into those roles, and it was wrong. It was easy, but it was wrong. And we did blow up at the end. And I do think that you have to share that decision making. And we tried to do that.
When we went across, we took an overland trip from Thailand to, essentially it came all the way to Miami. So we didn't take any planes. We spent 6 months. And in the middle of that, we started sharing that responsibility. We had a little bit of a disagreement, I think, in Mongolia.
A little bit of a disagreement. He means a screaming, raging fight in the middle of the Gobi Desert. But
yes, but there was no one there to witness it, so I could have gotten away with it. It was tiny. But that helped us because we decided that we needed to share it, and I think that's made all the difference.
But since then, we started a new system called Pilot Co-Pilot, which we learned from our friends Kent and Kanan, and we wrote about it in our book. In that we switch off every month, kind of taking the lead in our relationship, and it gives each other a little bit of a break, and it also reminds us of all the important decisions that are to be made, and I think it gives us a better partnership overall. But unfortunately, we didn't come to that until we were 4 years into our trip.
It's also one of the things that happens is that when things go wrong, we apply another system to make sure that it is corrected. So while decisions are a little bit easier to plan, things that go wrong are typically surprises, like you getting your backpack stolen.
Yes, me getting my backpack stolen on a train from Vienna to Budapest. And, because we work together, we write books, we have the podcast, our whole life is on our laptop. It's not just, well, it is our travel photos too, but But all of those things are really important in my passport and credit cards. So something like that can be devastating.
So what we did is we used something called Be the Hero, which allows us, the person who's not as deeply affected has to step into the role to start to fix things. That means making sure that they are handling the other person's emotional instability or stability, depending on what's going on at the time, giving them something to do, and then immediately focusing on the logistics of getting back to normal. That's the role. So each of us take turns freaking out. That's the way I like to think about it.
Well, and the good thing is that you're not sitting there wagging your finger, giving me a lesson, because that's for later. In the moment, it's not for that. It's for, canceling your credit cards, changing your passwords, making an appointment at the embassy. Definitely.
What one thing did we each learn about each other while traveling?
What did I learn about you while traveling? I've learned a lot of things about you while traveling.
Not all of it good?
You go first.
Well, I think that for me, I was surprised to find what an introvert meant. You've been telling me you were an introvert for years, and we were in Slovenia, and you were talking to a friend, and I overheard this conversation, and in there you said, I'm an introvert. And you explained that you recharge and you get your energy by yourself, by being alone. And you need that in order to interact with the rest of us. And I liked that a lot because it told me something that I had no idea about. It was a light bulb moment. It was a revelation in my life. And I am so happy that I had it here while we were traveling.
Well, I would say the thing I've learned about you is that you are a romantic. And for years I've known that I would say you wear rose-colored glasses,
right.
That you always think something's going to be great and then we get into it, and it probably is still great, but maybe you've elevated it. But what I've learned about that from our relationship perspective since we've been traveling is you really are a romantic. And I guess I knew that, but I didn't know that.
Well, I have to tell you, I like being a romantic. It's something that has grown on me. You make it very easy.
Aw, schmoopy.
So if there's another couple out there who's thinking about taking a career break,
do it.
I think the best thing that I can say is that first and foremost, up front, talk about the importance of sharing decision making, because you're going to get yourselves into some really hairy situations,
right.
And you want to make sure that the two of you have the ability to step up and one person doesn't feel put upon.
The next thing I would say is to set your expectations. Make sure that you're both talking about the same thing, because a career break doesn't mean the same thing to everyone else. You may want to travel in a different way, go to different places, spend a different amount of money. All those things are much better to talk about before you hit the road.
As well as talk to your partner and find out how he or she gets their energy. I find that this was one of the biggest revelations in our relationship. So find out if they like to go out and they want to be with other people all the time, or if they need some alone time. You need to give them time and space. I don't mean you have to travel separately. I mean that you just need to sit alone together in the same room where you might be and read, or just don't talk. Find out which one of those your partner is and who you are, because that is going to be a fantastic lesson you can apply when you're out there.
And I think the last thing I would say is try not to get so caught up in technology and sharing your story with other people that you forget to experience it yourself.
Yep.
You're going to see as you go through hostels and you meet other people that there are some people tied to their laptops and their phones, and they don't go out, they don't see things, they don't experience them. And I just think it's such a sad way to experience your career break, to just go get drunk around the world. Not that a glass of wine isn't great.
Yeah. But no matter what you do, the biggest important thing is get out there and enjoy travel. Enjoy immersing yourself in the culture and sharing it and talking about it with your partner, because it will strengthen your relationship as you learn about different people around the world, as you connect with them. It is a fantastic thing to do as a couple. So get out there, start enjoying yourself. You are going to have a great time.
Buen viaje.
This is Warren and Betsy Talbot of Married with Luggage. You can find us at marriedwithluggage.com and pick up a copy of our new book,
Married with Luggage, What We Learned About Love by Traveling the World.
It is a wonderful guide, and you'll get to hear some of the stories that's happened to us over the last 4 years of travel. It is funny. We talk about danger. We talk about our relationship, and we share a lot.
If this is something that you're interested in, this is an inside peek to let you know if you are ready for this.
Adios.